Once again, it's on. Oh boy, I say like we always do about this time. Alright. So, oh yeah, let me say this too. I was speaking on how in Nile Valley contributions to civilization, when I was talking about the Biden. I'm not sure if, I can't remember, it's been a while since I read that book, Ancient Egypt, I mean it's not Ancient Egypt, but Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Anthony Broder. I know I still got it in this motherfucker somewhere, but it's all tore up and shot. But yeah, I'm not sure if he actually say they were eating niggas in the book, but I know he was saying I know in that book it was speaking on how they used to take the mummies and they would crush the mummies up and they would use the mummies for train fuel. I think when I saw the word vitamin, it reminded me of vitamin, and I kind of drew the connection. But he probably does speak on that, them eating the melanin in the book. I don't want you niggas to get to the book. It's been a minute since I read it, so I don't want niggas to go get the book and be like, oh, that nigga lied and shit. But I know for sure that's what when I came across the word, when I seen it, it said vitamin. I think he does speak on that though, but they used to call it vitamin, and I said, damn, that's pretty close to vitamin or whatever. But I think he does speak on that in there. But I know for sure he said that they used to crush the mummies up and use them as train fuel, which makes sense. Cause like I was telling y'all in the other video, how all this was oil and melanin is out one and the same. Carbon 666, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So they probably was crushing up the old petrified melanin and transforming it into oil, because they do the same thing with the oil that comes from the earth or whatever. They convert it into gasoline, fill niggas' cars up or whatever. So yeah. So yeah, just in case you get to that part and be like, oh, this nigga lied, but if you just look at you'll see the word vitamin, and it's very close to vitamin or whatever. You'll see that word in there. But yeah. So let's see. We don't jump it off here from here. Alright, I'll start right here. But I think I read all this already. We'll pop it off right here. Alright, Moses is said to have built an altar and to have called it Jehovah Nissi. The Lord is my banner. Oh yeah, before we get in there too, I want to shout out Tina Reed from Black. I had to get up in there, man. She wanted me to give her a shout out. And it's crazy because they got, you know, the song that they're mostly known for, well, she come from the group Black, and the song that they mostly known for is 808. They got Bring It On to Me, which is, I think, on the Bring It On soundtrack. Then you got Boom Like an 808, and it's crazy. She passed today, which is the 26th of October. Now that's 2 months for my birthday, which is August 26th or whatever. There you go with the 8, you know what I'm saying? That yeah, the 8. But it's funny because, you know, her name is Tina Reed. You know, people call her Tina, if you go read a book called the hero with 1,000 faces by Joseph Campbell, you will hear about they speak about they tell a story about Tiny Tuba. Tina in the tube. This is the tube right here. And then you know she was a protege that left out. I think they were sisters. Nah, I think she was just left out protege. If you listen to her, the way she flows, she kind of sound like left out. Left out told me to tell you niggas what's happening. So I just want to throw that in there real quick. I found it interesting. Yeah, check out the hero with 1,000 faces. You hear about Tiny Tuba. When you read that, it's basically telling you the same story I'm telling you now with all this. The tool, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. But yeah, this is to say the least. This, to say the least, is suggestive of a title of on her, to whom it is said, Thou comest here upon the stately stand, in that name which is in thine of being, in thy stately stand, on the standard I'm at. Okay, this is why I left off that last time. All right, so we'll keep popping right here. Yeah, cause that last one I had to get up. I didn't know if I was checking my fucking camera. The reason I cut it short, I was checking my time on my camera. And the first time I checked it said I had like 17 minutes only left. And then I went back, and the motherfucker said it had 35 minutes left. And then so I was like, what the fuck going on here? You know, I didn't know if it had cut off, and I didn't want to have to chop it up into 2 different videos or whatever. So I just went ahead and cut it off right there, and said I just have it pop off. Cause I had already had to bust the last one down. But anyway, I didn't want to have to load 2 different parts to the same little session, unless it was gonna be a full 50-60 minute video. But anyway, thou comest here up on thy stately stand, in that name which is thine of being, in thy stately stand, or the standard I'm at. It's another thing too. Look, cover that up. You got your lowercase a. You got your lowercase a. You got your T. You know what I'm saying? So that's the at. The am at. When you I'll get into that later. I don't want to get too off course, but here there is the same dual rendering possibly as in the Hebrew. The stately stand and standard being equivalent to the banner. Moses carries the rod of God in his hand. With this rod he divides the Red Sea for the people to go over on dry ground. I already broke the Red Sea thing down to y'all. So with this he smites the rock in Horeb. Horeb. What is Horeb? This is Horeb right here. Horus. Basically, Horeb is all these. Remember I told you down here, this is the point of rest, where everything's up here working and moving and fixing it, carving and everything. When by the time this sets up like this right here, everything down here is at rest. So, like I said, you have the dark melanin, you got the chakras that become petrified or stiffen up. Patar with the gold light or the gold flakes on top of it, which would be the souls of men. Because when it bust open, that's this is where the souls come from or whatnot. But this would be, like I was telling you, Buddha, the stillness, symbolic of rest, stillness of the mind, stillness of the body. So when they say Horeb, They're saying that this is Horus at rest or at peace. The petrified Horus. Hor-El. You know the saying ebbs and flows. Flows means flowing, moving. That's what everything up here was doing, flowing and moving. Ebb is stagnation or stillness. The rock of Hor-El. This is Horus at Horus in a still state. As you know, the redundant thing, I'm gonna keep hitting you with it though. All that light shoot up and create that one, the 8 and 1. Throw the lightning bolt down, and then the fireball, the sun comes down and strikes the rock of Hor-El, causing water to gush forth. The content of the melanin, the content of the content of the chakras as they make contact with the sun busts out and color the earth or shade or basically provide the earth with whatever each one of those chakras correspond to. Basically infuses the earth with it as it bursts through the center. So that's the Hor-El right there. The rock of Hor-El. When they say like I said, when they speak of Moses drawing the water, which was one of the first like I said, I was reading another book written by Anthony Broderick, from the Broader Files, which is the name of the book. And that's when I really just got in the zone. That's when I really started cracking off with the with being able to decipher this symbolism, because in that book it's speaking on how the Kamites viewed the staff or the rod was symbolic of the spine. And then he was speaking on, in the same book, he was speaking on the pineal. This is when I first found out about the how the pineal gland worked. And they'll say how the pineal gland secretes melatonin. So you got the staff, then you got the pineal gland sit at the top of the staff. And then I learned about the Kundalini, how the Kundalini raises up the spine and strikes the pineal gland. So I found out that and then by the time I made it back to the Bible and started reading about Moses striking the water and drawing water from the stone, I said, well, Moses uses a rod to strike the stone and draws water. I said, well, the spine is the rod. The Kundalini raises up the spine, striking the pineal gland would be symbolic of Moses striking the rock, and the water being drawn from the rock corresponds to the melatonin being drawn or coming from the pineal gland. That's one of the first codes I had cracked while I was in there. And you know, from that point on, that's how I started looking at the Bible. A lot of times when you read the Bible and you see shit like seven this and 7 that, the 7 virgins who what was one story where he was speaking about the 7 virgins who had the light, and he had 7 who didn't have the light, because the 7 who didn't have it forgot to fill up on the trip or some shit. I can't remember the exact story, but it was basically, these would be the 7 virgins that have the light inside the lamp, and these would be the 7 that didn't. Even though they, you know, you got the light on the shell, the golden shell, but when they speak about the ones that had the light, they was talking about the ones that had the light, the core, or whatever. So, okay. So it says the plague and caused the water to spring forth abundantly. Oh no, I'm tripping. Moses carries the rod of God in his hand. With this rod he divides the Red Sea for the people to go over on dry ground. With this he smites the rock in Hor-El and causes the water to spring forth abundantly. The plagues descend on Egypt at the stretching forth of Moses' Moses' wonder-working rod. Shu honor is likewise the bearer of the rod. He is represented with the rod in his hand and is designated the Lord of the rod. In the hymn to Shu it is said, Thou leadest the upper heaven with thy rod, and that name which is thine upon her. The uplifter of heaven. The origin of smiting the rock to make the water come forth is connected to the rock of the Scissor Hill, the Mount of Sunrise. Scissor Hill. Well, Scissor got two blades. Two blades correspond to these right here. The Scissor Hill. The first waters that issued out of this rock were the springs of dawn and the floods of day. In the ritual, we meet with the hero who causes the water to gush forth. He says, in the character of the great one who has been developed into a chief, I make the water issue forth, or I make water to come. The striker of the rock with his rod or staff was Shu Honor, the impersonator of the he force that burst up out the rock at sunrise, when the waters of day were once more set free. The water of dawn is called the water of Tefnut, she who is the twin sister of Shu. I already broke that down to y'all. That's the rising waters with the wind, in which water, twin sister of Shu, in which water the children of light drink abundantly. As one of these, who are the prototypes of the children of Israel, said, I drink abundantly of the waters of Tefnut. So especially showing you how Shu and Moses is parallel, how they basically took the story of Moses, or they took the story of Shu and made Moses out of it. Or took the story of Shu and attributed it to Moses. And really Moses, Moshe and all that probably was what they was dealing with in Ethiopia, which is the home, or where Judaism, the original version of Judaism, came from, or whatever. So but that's another story. The waters of dawn were ascribed to the female source, whether Tefnut or as Hathor, and it is noticeable that in the Hebrew version, the first to make the water come forth by miracle for the people to drink is Miriam, whose relation to Moses is identical with that of Tefnut to Shu. The legend of the one God who reveals himself upon the summit of the rock, whether to Shu or Moses, is a matter of mythology, not a subject of human history, and as such the mythos is Egyptian. And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am Ayahu, and I appear unto Abraham, unto Israel, and unto Jacob as El Shaddai. But by the name of Ayahu, I was made known to them. In the original rendering of the mythos, Ra reveals himself to Shu and the elders as the deity in spirit. In the original rendering of the mythos, Ra reveals himself to Shu and the elders as the deity in spirit, living in truth. He has become greater than the God who created him. He tells them that although later in point of time, he is the one primeval source who has been giving them light all the while. And in this new character, he assumes his sovereignty as God over all, the one besides whom there is none other. This is the deity in the ritual who says, I am the self-originating force. Behold me. How am I raised up on my throne? He is no longer merely solar or one of the seven elemental powers. He is the God and spirit, the spirit that is divine and a type of that which lives forever. The accounts for the change of name or title which follows the change of status. Ra was known by other titles in the mythos, but as Hu-Ha, the eternal, he was previously unknown. Hu-Ha. Hu is light. When you got Ha, so especially that's another word for highlight. Hu-Ha. The highlight. In this character, the God reveals his secret self as the Supreme One, whose name is then expressed by the titles of Hu-Ha, the Eternal, and Ra, the Holy Spirit. Hu-Ha. So that's Hu-Ha is basically speaking about the soul, the eternal. The internal. This is eternal. The internal, the inside, the spirit, the soul. The Hebrew deity Aya, this I-H-U-H, was not simply the one God in a single form of personality. He is the Egyptian God in his various attributes. So basically what that's breaking down is, it's kind of like Osiris. You can look at what it's basically saying is what we be trying to tell people when they, the concept of God is given to you by mainstream or mainstream religion. People be like, it's only one God, or what they say polygamy, not polygamy, but polytheism is wrong because you don't supposed to have more than one God. Well, in Egypt, all of the different deities were basically different attributes of the one, of the whole, of the one. So, one of the things that they're breaking down right there is he's saying, I'm all this shit now. I got all seven, everything that was created by these seven taking their place right here, combined with what was already here, which was the top. These seven, the energy from all seven of these go up and mingle with this one, and they become the 8. And then you have the Osiris buried right here in the mental, which is right here. So you have the 71, which would be the 8 right here, with the 1 down here, which is the 9. And that's that's corresponds to 1 through 9 or whatever. Because like I said, you had the 8 right here. When all these raise up and join with this one, you have all 8 of the powers built up in one. And then they come out as Horus, and he resurrects or wakes his father up by, boom, striking the pineal gland. He absorbs the light right there, and then all that light that was in these shells right here, on top of the shells, when the sun goes down, busts the clusters open, or opens up the clusters, and all that light reunites with the light that's coming through the sun. So all those sparkles of souls or lights on those melanin clusters, they all are reabsorbed or reunite with that flame as it comes down. And then when it finally is born out of the last one, the rays of light that shoot back up through it, that's how the souls shot back through the center and came up and splashed on and basically found bodies to splashed up and coordinated into the bodies that were on the top over here or whatever. And so just imagine like you know, little soul men jumping into physical bodies. You know what I'm saying? Little bit, the small. See, people always think bigger, you know, big is better, big, but your soul is a minute point. That I was saying in one of the other videos, your physical body would be the giant. Your soul is the small part of you. It's a particle of light. And you had a, before you had a physical, see, what you gotta understand is, before you had a physical body, depends on where you at in your incarnation. But before you had a physical body, that's like me. The version of me you see in the beginning of time had an actual solar body before it had a physical body. That's why I was telling y'all, before we had physical bodies, when we was creating this shit, we actually had bodies like we have now, but they were gold by all solar bodies, sun. So basically, it'd be like a body. It'd be like the sun you see in the sky, but in the shape of that's the best way I can put it. It'd be like the sun you see in the sky, but in the shape of a human or a man, or the shape we see now. That's the solar man. And they was the ones crucified or frozen down here, the Buddhas. So let me get back to it. He is the one God both as the Father and the Son, who in the words of Isaiah is the everlasting Father and the Prince of Peace, who as Egyptian was Adam Huha, the eternal Father. See, Adam, a tomb, is your physical body. A tomb in which your soul rests in until you resurrect the soul through the as Horus, and resurrect your soul. That's why when they say Adam in the Bible, they're talking about the physical creation of man, the atom, the tomb, the atum. Adam, up in Adam, Hu-Ha, and the Hu-Ha would be the highlight within it. So Adam Hu-Ha would be basically be the soul of the highest point of light in your physical body, which would be the Hu-Ha is the highlight within the atum, which is the physical body. Egypt. Okay, so they say, who as Egyptian was Adam Hu-Ha, the eternal Father, and Ayusa, the ever-coming Son. Adam Ra as closer, hold on. Okay, and Ayusa, the ever-coming Son, Adam Ra as closer on the horizon west, and Adam Horus as the opener of the horizon east. So, he is the Egyptian god of the Urim and the Thummim, the Tumim, or Thummim. This the Urim right here. Or something. Means to squirt or to push water out or to push a liquid out. That's why you got like irrigation. The Uraim. The eye. You can look at this as an eye too, because when all this goes up and it's all concentrated right there, you have this, which is the eye, or which is the phallic part of the eye, of the lowercase I. Then you have a dot, so it looks like an I, a lowercase I. You have a dot right here. Then you have the straight line right there, and the Thummim. Two, I'm telling you, at the heels, the two aims. So it'll be the part of the I am that corresponds to the two sides or whatever. So he is the Egyptian god of the Urim and the Thummim, or lights and perfection. The Ure or Ur of the winged disc and other figures of the Egyptian symbolism. The one God who was solar in the mythos and the Holy Spirit in eschatology. in the book of the sovereignty as the IU eternal. It was in this new character, Ra issued his commands for an ark, shrine, a sanctuary to be made, in which was to be lifted up by Shu, the supporter of Ra. Ages before the Hebrew Pentateuch was written and ascribed to Moses, the one God had been worshipped at On or Anu as Egyptian under the title of Adam Ra. And if B was made known to honor by revelation, whatsoever that may imply, the revelation was Egyptian. This is the God who was one by nature and dual in manifestation. The one and the dual, two sides of one coin. This is the God who is one by nature and dual in manifestation. One in the solar mythos as the closing opener of the nether world. One in eschatology as Hu-Ha, the everlasting Father. And Ayu, the ever-coming Son, as Prince of Peace. The one God called the Holy Spirit, who was founded typically on the Ghost. This is the living Anku, self-originating eternal God. This is he who was to be lifted up as God alone in his ark or tabernacle on the Mount of Glory, that is Ra-Ha-Ma-Ku. Horus is the gold, small parts of the gold light, or the small particles of gold light. Ma is the mother, the darkness, and then the Ku, like I was telling y'all, is the light that spreads out through here. The aura, that'll be like, this would be equivalent to the aura that surrounds your physical body. The Ku, you have two Kus. You have the eternal Ku, which is the light inside the melanin throughout your whole body, and you have your, what we would say, your force field, or your aura that shines around the body, or you know, that shine from within, but it's around the physical body. And then Ra is the sun. You can look at Ra as like it's the light, but you can look at Ra as Ra is more so the sun you see in the sky, but the sun you see in the sky is a reflection of the sun behind the sun. So just like everything here is a reflection of light, a reflection of something that comes from within. Because remember, everything that was built was originally thought of or imagined within the divine eye. It then reflected, or the light came out and started to build everything around it or whatever. So let's see. And the so-called, no, hold on, all right. This is he who was lifted up as God alone in the ark of the tabernacle of glory. Okay. And the dual equal, that is Ra-Ha-Ma-Ku on the double horizon, or in the dual equinox. The deity who gave the law upon Mount Sinai through the intermediation of honor, or Mashu, the son of Ra. It is the so-called destruction of mankind that God resolves to be lifted up in an ark, a sanctuary by himself alone. This sanctuary is carried on the back of Nu, the celestial cow. So they're talking about the sun in the sky. There was Nu, the majesty of Ra was on her back. And that's basically when you look at when the sun rises. So this will, of course, this will be the east. So the sun rises in the east. So when the sun rises and goes all around, it's basically traveling over the back of Nu, which is the which will be the surface right here. Or no, actually, traveling over the back of Nu would really be probably more so be the sun at night. Cause Newt is the dark waters of space. I mean, no, I'm lying. Newt, no, I'm right. It is the sun going across the sky. Cause Hathor knew what Newt is the dark is the nighttime sky with the stars spread across it. And but you can also look at the Newt as the circumference when the sun rises up, when the light rises up and then spreads the light over the darkness, them dark water was the water of Newt. The dark waters, water of Newt, when the light comes through that center and spreads through our hill, it's like it's riding over the back of Newt or riding over them dark waters or whatever. Hathor will probably be more so the sun at daytime. That's why you see a lot of times she's associated with with yellow and blue. The blue of the sky and the yellow sunlight or whatever. I don't want to go off track. I'm fine. Especially since I ain't got the book. But let me keep going right here. I was finna go into something else about the Hathor thing, but Hathor comes from Het Heru. And if you pay close enough attention, it's like a hat. Especially when the light, just your top hats and brim hats and all that shit, the brim shit. Remember that light shoot out the sides when all this light goes up, all this light shoots out the sides and shoot out the circumference. So it'll look like a hat or a hut. The hut, Het Heru means home of Heru. His hut, his TP. You know what I'm saying? Don't look like a TP, the tent. That's where all that shit come from. So let me get back to this. Alright. So Ayu says, Moses, let them make me a sanctuary, children of Israel. Let them, the children of Israel, make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show thee, the pattern of the dwelling and the pattern of all the furniture thereof. Even so ye shall make it. Let's go back to what I was saying about how all this light, when it was traveling over those dark waters, when that light came to the center, traveled through and the light started traveling through here, it was carving and cutting out everything that was to be made on everything that was to walk, fly, swim, crawl on the earth. All the trees and everything that was to be was carved and made up here like furniture. The light carved all the melanin in the dark, carved all the melanin into everything that was going to be the furniture. So let me see. According to all that I show thee, the pattern of the dwelling and the pattern of all the furniture thereof, even so you shall make it. So we said according to the pattern that I showed thee, the pattern was right here. I was saying the smallest point, everything that was to be first existed right here. So the pattern that was shown was first right here, and then it rose up, and all these came behind it. And all that light came from here and spread out throughout the circumference to carve and create everything that was once the pattern, or everything that was once at first a divine thought within the center point or whatever. They shall Oh, that's what I want to say too about the Tina Reid thing. You got the tiny tuba. That's man, let me see. That's the hero with 1,000 faces. Go check that out. Joseph Campbell. But her name was Tina Reid. This is the reed, the papyrus reed with the eyes on it. See, it's Halloween time. That's the thing about Halloween. Halloween, the October, pretty much right after I said around the end of September. It's the time. That's when all. That's why we celebrate Halloween, because Halloween basically represents the time of the year when a lot of spiritual activity is a lot of the spiritual activity is turned up on the planet. A lot of the spirits be coming through around this time. It's that's why. Which I go more into that Friday. Because I'm gonna do one this weekend. I go more to that one this weekend. But that's just an example of how the spirits come through. That's a channel right there. You know, it ain't always just sitting there conversating and talking. Sometimes sometimes the spirits come through and show you different things through just experiences and shit that's happening around you. So yeah, that's what it was though. You got her, you got Tina Reid, you got Left Eye, you got the eye, and you got the reed, the papyrus reed, in which Horus rises up on. This is a papyrus reed too, but it becomes a papyrus reed once the sun busts out. That light of that real light that shoots back up after the sun comes out. Of course, it's gonna shine on the whole thing. But then that real light that ends up coming straight through here symbolizes the Horus raising up on the papyrus reed coming up. So the Tina Reid, peace to the Tina Reid, man. Yeah. And Left Eye, Miss Lisa Left Eye Lopez, the Lopez. But yeah, they be coming through around this time, man. That's why this type of shit is occurring like this. You know what I'm saying? The howling wolf thing and all that. I'll get to that later. So, let me see. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood. The two together, the sanctuary and the ark, constituted an ark shrine of the true Egyptian double abode of Ra and the dual domain of light and shade, the model of the Jewish arks or tabernacles that were to be erected equally in sun and shade. The part open to the rays of light was exactly the balance of shade or veil of the relation to the luminous hemisphere and the hemisphere shade at the two equinoxes. The sanctuary of Ra was a figure of the heavens. The Hebrew ark was a portable copy, a tabernacle fitted for an itinerating deity. It was the Canaanite custom to represent the heaven in miniature as an ark of so many cubits. There is an ark of 7 cubits, one of 8 cubits, and another of 4 cubits. Okay, this is the ark. Okay, this is the 7 cubits. The 7 and the 1, that's the 8 cubits. 1, 2, 3, 4 cubits. That's when they speak about the 4 cubits, they talking about the width and the height or whatever, or the length or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. And then you got the 9 right here, the 9th, but that come, then you really deal with that later after the resurrection or whatever. So there's an ark of 7 cubits, one of 8 cubits, and another of 4 cubits, in which the God was lifted up or exalted. Inside the ark there was a shrine for the deity. with a figure of the God within the sanctuary. And see, that's the thing I heard in I heard that in the Great Pyramid. There's a body of a man point up at the sky. Bobby Hemming was speaking on it. I can't remember what book he said he got it out of. But if that be the case, that would symbolize the light. When all this light right here retracts up in the air, you have the mother looking down on the father who was buried in the mental, and the father looking up at her up here. That's what the Ishtar thing. Because I think Ishtar had to travel through the underworld to save the father. She had to take off all her jewelry and all the stuff that was on her body. That just symbolized the opening of the chakras when the sun dropped down here, boom, and went through all these, taking all the shells off. It was the earrings, I think it was the crown, the earrings, the necklace, hold on. The crown, the earring, the neck. She had to take all her shit off. Down strip, space had to strip naked. That symbolizes going through all these. This is how she saved the father, or how she put one of the ways, or back to the ISIS thing, or one of the ways she put out the 14 pieces back together by coming down. See, they'll tell you. See, the ancestors were so fluid with the way that they explain things. Like I just showed you how Horus resurrected the father. They have a story for that. And they have another story to show you how the same process, but it be told from a perspective of the mother playing her part of resurrecting the father or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting to tap on. Now let me get back to this here. The part, oh no, I already read that. Alright. The part open to the rays of light. No, okay. The part open to the rays of light was exactly to balance the shade or veil of the covering, and not to have more sun than shade. This was in accordance with the plan of the Great Pyramid and in relation to the luminous hemisphere and the hemisphere shade at all two equinox. See how that? See the Great Pyramid. I was just telling y'all about the body. And it must be something to that, because that shit popped right back up. This was in accordance with the plan of the Great Pyramid in relation to the luminous hemisphere and the hemisphere of shade at the two equinoxes. The sanctuary of Ra was a figure for the heavens. The Hebrew ark was a portable copy. Oh, I'm tripping. Yeah, I already read that part. I'm tripping, alright. As water was the primary element of life, the nature powers were held to have come into being by water. Hence, their images were placed within the shrine that was carried on board the papyrus bark and borne upon the shoulders of the priests. These tabernacles, consisting of a shrine on the water represented by the boat, became a type of heaven as a dwelling place of the eternal. Thus an ark of the new was constellated in the stars and pictured on the waters of the inundation. The ark of Adam Ra was depicted with the solar orb on board, which was always red. In the religious mysteries, as already shown, an ark of 4 cubits imaged the heaven of 4 quarters, as the Egyptian phrased it, of 4 sides. As we have seen, there was an ark built for the god to float, and after there has been a great subsidence of land in the celestial waters. So likewise, in the destruction of mankind, when Ra becomes the supreme one god, he orders an ark or a tabernacle to be made for his voyage over the heavens. See, that's the sun right there, the sun you see in the sky. You know, when the sun is in the sky, that's the only star you see. That's why I was speaking about him being alone. And periodically you will see the moon and the sun in the sky at the same time on opposite sides of the sky or whatever. except for the which is great. That go right into what I need to speak on. Except when you have an eclipse, a moon and sun eclipse. So I'll start on that when I get back though. I'm gonna end this right here because the camera. Nah, it's good, it's straight, yeah. I see what's going on now. And just keep recording until, cause I be thinking once the time, and see now it's saying I got 50 minutes. Just a few minutes ago it said I had 35. I be thinking they cut the camera, I be thinking they be cutting it, but they really keep going. So I'm gonna go for what I know real quick till this motherfucker jump off. I'll just tell this story right here first and not cut it out to be safe, but when we had that Hurricane Harvey, first and foremost, a couple days before it rained, I got the signal that it was finna go down, because you know everybody was trying to figure out was it gonna be bad or woo. But I was walking up the street and I seen a green orb shoot through the sky, and some said that's your people right there. It's popping off. And I think that was either a day after or a day before the eclipse, because Harvey started that weekend, and the eclipse was like Monday or Tuesday, and basically it was when it was a rare point in time where the moon, the sun was in the sky and the moon overshadowed it or got in front of it, which we rarely see. Usually they separated. And then a couple days after that, what happened? You had your flood. So goes back to this. When all that light retracted up and went up in here, this little part right here, when all that light, by the time that light shot from this point, when it started to go up here, this would be the water trying to follow it. This little pocket right here. When all the light shot up, all that water that went up with it stopped right here and froze. Boom. Creating the moon. So you had the moon right here, and then you have what was the sun right here. So if you was down here under the moon, you have the moon in front of the sun. You have the sun right here, and you have the moon right there, and you right here. The same way it was when before the flood took place. You had the moon sitting in front of the sun or eclipsing the sun, just like this moon eclipsed that sun. And then a couple days later it rained. 4 or 5 days it started raining and flooding. Same thing with this shit. When the sun came back down here, shot through the top of the moon. Of course, once it passed through that part of the moon, you know that's gonna cause it to snow, because it's gonna hit that ice, so that ice flakes gonna. And I think when this shit was going up too, it snowed too. Once the light got up to about to this point right here, once all that light retracted back up to this point right here, those some of those droplets of water that was floating within the hemisphere was probably, since the heat was retracting, it was probably turning some of those particles into snow and causing the snow to fall. Because this shit is, one of the names for this is the Bifrost Bridge. And sometimes I think that even though these clusters broke off, these side pieces of it broke off and fell into these gaps and covered up all that the light particles that was down here, I kind of think that this middle part stayed, it was frozen, because they got the thing called the Bifrost Bridge. But then at the same time, it could have just I ain't really all the way sold on that. I kind of think it all went up into it because you can look at that bridge, the Bifrost Bridge, because the frost or whatever, in the snow. But I think it all went up and became invisible because you still have this part. This is the top of your head. This would be the rest of your body. You have the 7 chakras that run down your body in your pineal gland and then over your pineal gland. Well, really, this would be the crown chakra. Well, no, this would be the crown chakra. This is the pineal gland. And then over your head, you have another ladder that connects to the heavens, for lack of a better phrase. So it probably was that probably for the Bifrost Bridge, because Bi means two, so you got a bridge here and a bridge here. So it probably just referring to the invisible part of the bridge. Once all this, the unseen bridge that was and the frost come from the bridge was probably a reference to the actual bridge that was once here, and then the frost, the moon or the ice that was. But anyway, I had just a little nugget I want to throw in there. But after the sun came back through here, like I said, go through the ice. Of course, when it comes through, it's gonna cause the snow, and then the further it goes, then it's gonna eventually cause the rain, and as it comes down here, and all that is gonna cause the flood. Same thing that happened with when that damn Hurricane Harvey hit. We had the eclipse, and then we had the eclipse, moon eclipse, the sun and moon eclipse, and then you had the flood. That was yin and yang energy. Mommy waters. That flood was Osiris energy too. Because Osiris is the God who flooded, but who drowneth not, or the God who does. And here he say, I'm the cause of the flood, but I'm not the one who drowns. Or I'm not the one who drowns. This thing is somewhere, but yeah, it's all in here though. I'll get to that in a later day. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there real quick, and let me jump down over here real quick, and I'll take y'all over here. Let me see. The tabernacle, okay. The tabernacle, alright. Hence their images were placed within the shrine that was carried on board the papyrus bark and borne up on the shoulders of the priest. These tabernacles consisted of a shrine on the waters represented by the boats became the ark. Shrine on the water was represented by the boat became a type of heaven as dwelling places of the eternal. Thus an ark of Nu was constellated in the stars and pictured on the waters of inundation. The ark of Adam Ra was depicted. The ark of Adam Ra was depicted. The ark of Adam Ra was depicted with the solar orb on board, which was always red. In the religious mysteries, as already shown, an ark of 4 cubits built for the gods to float, and after the an ark of 4 cubits imaged the heaven of 4 quarters, or as the Egyptians phrased it, of 4 sides. As we have seen, there was an ark built for the gods to float in after